My name is Collar Cash Money Cannon.
What do we want to talk about?
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
You're still just a kid.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Because mommy is always on top.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, a.k.a. Austin Creed.
I'm home.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
To say his name.
Say his name and he appears.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, and you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
And you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
And you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
Listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C, Romoran, Chino Liao, and Emil Nate. Still the number one wrestling podcast in the Philippines. Walang mag-oust sa amin. We're not gonna get suddenly kicked from out of nowhere.
Okay.
This is a reference. I did not know where it came from.
Yeah, I mean,
why am I not surprised?
I mean, it was just earlier.
It's a Discord thing again. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a it's a politics thing.
It's a national news reference.
Yeah. Kanina lang naman. So I'm I can't blame.
No, I mean, mas surprising because I don't know who's challenging us anyway.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean, yeah.
I just wanted to make the reference because it was funny.
Wala.
Nakakatawa siya.
Nagsimba ako, birthday ni Mama Mary. So, nuna ko yun. Get your priorities right, guys. Simba kayo, birthday ni Mama Mary.
Sure. Oh, ain't nobody got time for that. Sorry, the rest of us have jobs.
The rest of us actually want to be updated with what goes on everywhere. Okay, we got a lot of wrestling from over the weekend. We got to start with the biggest news coming out of SmackDown, and that was at the end when we got the return of AJ Lee. So apparently, totoo nga yung chismis surrounding her return. And not only that, it was reported a few hours ago by Bodyslam.net that apparently AJ Lee has signed a multi-year contract with the WWE and that she's going to be positioned as one of the leaders in the women's division moving forward. So again, di natin alam kung gaano katotoo yun, but a lot of people were just expecting that, this is probably just a one-off. It's going to be that mixed tag team setup between Seth and Becky and Punk and AJ.
Yeah, it's a pretty tall order. I'm actually kind of scared that she might not live up to the hype, but I guess if they signed her, they probably saw what she can still do. Diba? Like, ang hirap kasi you've been gone for so long. The thing with Punk was that Punk had his reps in AEW before going back to WWE, and you know, what you make of Punk is what you've seen of him so far. And for a lot of people, that's okay now for them. But AJ has, I feel, like a harder hill to climb, a steeper slope to climb. Despite her being one of the better wrestlers in the Divas era, in the PG era, more than a decade ago, the game has changed. Even though Nikki Bella is there and could probably make you look better, iba pa rin yung pagkagawa sa women's wrestlers today, the ones working on the main roster and on NXT even today. So I don't know. I legit do not know if she can hang. Like, that's not, I'm not hating. I just literally don't know because we have not seen her wrestle outside of heels. So I don't know. I felt like it could go. I feel like it could go wrong. Like, I don't want to say that, but I'm scared. Like, because I was a big AJ fan back in the day, and this is like one of the signings that I do not want to fail.
Mm-hmm. I can see where he's coming from. I kind of agree, but my concern really isn't for AJ herself. It's for all the women who are actually putting in the time to work their way to the top, diba? Like, I get na hindi pa ready sila Tiffany, diba? Or hindi pa ready si Jade for that smoke, right? But like, what about your Charlottes and your Alexas, diba? I mean, they're in the mid card right now, sure, pero you're gonna have to rely on somebody who people actually remember and know, Diba? And if what they're banking on is the memory of somebody from a decade ago, medyo mahirapan sila eh. And suddenly you're going to rocket strap her and put her in a position she hasn't been in many years, whereas you already have the women on the roster who've been cooking this entire time na parang, and nandun na sila waiting in the wings, putting in the work, diba? Tapos biglang mamaya na overtake ka ni AJ Lee. Sorry na lang, diba? So if it doesn't work, it's more pie on WWE's face than anybody else. Kasi umasa sila kay AJ, diba? Yeah. Umasa sila dun sa return ni AJ and all the hype that came with it.
Sorry, Emil, before you start, I have a small counterpoint to that part. Like on the wrestler side, I think okay lang naman sila ma-overtake ni AJ kasi most of them, I feel, look up to her, and what she did all those years ago and how she literally laid the path more than the Bellas did for this iteration of women's wrestling. So I think that's fine with them, but the point still stands. I agree with you and you agree with me that there's a lot riding on this return.
Guys, what's with the negative reaction? I mean, it's AJ Lee, bro.
God
wow,
damn it.
Sa'yo pa talaga nang galing yung negative.
No. I'm just surprised. We're gonna be all
calling us out.
No, we're someone who has been gone for a decade. I grew up.
You misunderstand what I said. I said I want this to work, but I'm scared it's gonna fail because
I'm just surprised.
This woman hasn't wrestled in more than a decade.
I'm just surprised that's the first thing that we said. Because for me, I'm just happy. I didn't even think of that stuff. Although, to be fair, tama rin naman yung concern mo. But for me, I'm just happy she's back. Like, we have been penciling in this comeback ever since Punk came back to the WWE. We were waiting that at some point AJ Lee might come back, because for guys like me, who grew up during her heyday, miss na namin siya eh. She was one of our first
Siya ba
favorites.
nagpalaki sa'yo, Emil? Is that why you're excited?
It's not that way. It's just that when I first started watching, she was like, she was parang yung different, yung iba siya compared to the divas of that time. Eh. That's what made her stand out, and that's why she was my favorite. I'm sure Rowan also, AJ is her favorite as well.
Rowan here, he's not here.
I mean,
he's not here.
I'm just saying, our generation, we're just so happy to see her back, and yun nga, I was wondering if maybe this was a one-off or parang dalian lang ba to, but yeah, I was talking to a friend about this last night, and his concern was parang may something off lang with her return, na being just I don't want to use the word accessory, but as a rest back kay CM Punk, instead of her returning on her own, as AJ Lee challenging for a championship, which I kind of agree then in a way, but still, I don't, I was still happy that she's back, but at some point, siguro after this one-off feud, I want her to go on her own run here, and possibly challenge for a championship, here and there, maybe challenge for a title next year at WrestleMania. So the possibility here is endless. Now that it's been reported that she has signed a multi-year deal.
Okay, sorry, just quickly to add to what Emil was saying. Nakaramdam naman ako ng kilig nung bumalik siya. I can get that. Yeah, everybody knows who AJ Lee is on this program. You know what she's done for the company. Pero at the same time, you brought it up, Emil. We talked about this during the live stream in extent, diba? Na si AJ Lee came back, in your words, as an accessory to CM Punk, right? To be part of this feud. So yun din yung iniisip ko. Right? How are you going to take AJ from that position now and suddenly put her up again in the title picture? Put her in a title picture, diba? Is she going to take the IC title from Becky? Right? If so, does the IC title now become the Legends title? Diba? What happens to AJ Lee? Where kasi parang nahihirapan ako i-picture where she actually fits in this larger women's division angle, right? I don't know if she's here to compete for the main title. I don't know if she's suddenly going to become a tag team. Diba? I don't know if she's going to challenge Becky for the IC title, which seems like the more obvious choice here. Pero it's also a little complicated then because she also still has to finish the storyline of CM Punk and Seth Rollins, diba? It's another added wrinkle to this ongoing saga. So it's a lot of complications going on, and maybe premature tayo to just jump into these conclusions on what AJ is going to do because she just came back, diba? So, but it's just again all points for concern.
All right. I'm going back to the point where Emil called us being negative. You again, you misunderstand where not my negativity, but my reservations are coming from.
Right.
You mentioned it. We all, everybody probably all thought it was going to be a one-off match, diba? Where AJ gets to wrestle in this era the way Trish did, diba? And then it turns out that she's going to be platformed in a major way, like to give her the dues that that she didn't get under Vince, diba? As an entire epitome, the entire face of a whole women's division that can actually wrestle, diba? That's a problem. If we were talking about a one-off match, this is totally fine. This matchup is totally fine. But you're putting someone who has not wrestled in more than a decade, who came off of possibly career-ending injury, as the face of an entire division, as the person really going to drive it forward, while the main eventers of today are taking a little bit step back. That's what I'm scared of. That's a lot of pressure to put on someone who had not wrestled for a long time, diba? Like even Punk didn't get to do that when he came back to AEW. Hindi yun yung role niya agad. He was still a featured performer until he got, back in the groove, diba? So I hope that they put her through her workouts in the PC and all that stuff, because if you're doing this off of the hype alone, that is egg on their face. I don't want to say that, and I don't want them to fail, but I hope that they did their due diligence on this purchase.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, wala tayong alam kasi this is just a report, diba? We aren't there in the office, so we don't know kung ano talaga yung details ng deal between AJ Lee and the WWE. So all of these reservations are coming off of the assumption na totoo nga na multi-year deal. But zooming out here, I want you to tell me and maybe compare and contrast with other big surprise returns. How big is AJ Lee coming back to the WWE, or how important is this to wrestling? Not even just women's wrestling, but the wrestling as a whole.
I can compare it to Punk's. But for me,
like as big as CM Punk's return.
Yes.
To wrestling as a whole or to WWE?
Wow. WWE. You can say to wrestling kasi honestly, like with Punk, yes, there was always a possibility with Punk na he might come back. He might come back even before AEW. Na yung nagpakita na siya sa, di ba, sa backstage that WWE show that they did. So there was always this parang di ba assumption, but something with Punk na he might come back. But with AJ, I shut that door like long time ago, especially with the stories that she she told on her book years ago, di ba, na parang ayaw niya sa wrestling, parang ayaw niya bumalik, like there's no chance whatsoever. So for her to come back after like what 10 years, that's a bigger comeback than Punk for me personally.
It's pretty big. I would say it is pretty big. Not as big as Punk's. There is a bigger worldwide devotion to CM Punk than to a lot of other people, diba? But it is pretty huge. It's huge for the women, which is really important because AJ was one of the first, but one of the few people in a really different WWE back in the day that showed that you don't have to be a super glamorous diva to make it in the business, to make it in Vince McMahon's WWE. Diba? So that's really important representation to a lot of aspiring women who want to be wrestlers or who just want to make it or just love wrestling. It's a huge representation win. And because it's a woman, there are also a lot of guys who won't relate to that, diba? Unless they have the empathy to do so. But it's pretty huge. Again, for the reason that Emil mentioned, you didn't know that she was coming back. She was injured. She was out of it. I think she was mentally unwell, diba? Yeah. And to go back and essentially declare the company as safe to come back to, despite some controversies. That's a huge PR win for WWE. They just need to not fumble the ball.
It is huge. I agree with Ro. It isn't really as big as Punk. It's huge for the women. However, I feel na yung returning Page so a bit more important than AJ Lee's. Parang pareho sila ng pinanggalingan, but Page was just, in my opinion, was able to do it better. Diba? She left the WWE after not being cleared to wrestle. It was actually finally cleared to wrestle, became champion, right? Now, might be a little bit, again, might be premature kasi kakabalik lang ni AJ, diba? To put so much weight on a return after only a day or a few days is pretty premature for us here. Wala tayong alam, kasabi lang natin.
No. I think not analyzing, pero talking about how big this return isn't premature. I think premature yung parang, where could this go from here? Could it fail or not?
Yeah.
But like talking about the return in and of itself, given how long she's been gone and to the extent to which she's gone, I don't think that's premature at all.
I would disagree to a point, pero I would honestly, mas importante for, again, di ako babae, so what do you care, right? Pero for me, the Page return was a little bit more important than the AJ return. Well, this one is pretty up there as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other thoughts on AJ that you want to get out there before we proceed?
We can proceed.
Yeah. Sige. We started off SmackDown with John Cena addressing Chicago for the last time. And apparently, it was his last ever episode of Friday Night SmackDown. So, full circle moment right there kasi at the Allstate Arena in June 2002, dun rin nag-debut si John Cena when he answered Kurt Angle's open challenge, did the whole ruthless aggression thing and slapped the bejesus out of Kurt Angle. So, 23 years later, that's where he gets to say goodbye to SmackDown as a brand. And then out comes Sami Zayn and says, in honor of you giving me the opportunity to make my debut on the main roster 10 years ago, I'm going to be starting the US Championship Open Challenge again, and you get the first title opportunity. And it was a hell of a match between Sami Zayn and John Cena.
First of all, for the crowd in Chicago for booing Sami Zayn, y'all are going to take an L on that one. Otherwise, it was a great crowd. It was a great crowd. It was a great segment. It was a great match. I love the Cena promo at the beginning where he basically put the Chicago crowd over for being honest with him, diba? Parang kinolback niya yung mga moments na in Chicago, diba? The Money in the Bank, so many times that he has been there and he got booed, but this time around, people adored him this time around. I mean, it was some sort of bizarre moment for the Allstate crowd to adore Cena like that. So, talagang it was a great moment.
Yeah, Chicago did boo Cena all those years ago against Punk. So they are pretty fickle. But yeah, it was a fine moment. It was a good, I think if you were there in the crowd that night, it would have been really, really special. So there's no taking that away from anyone who was there, anyone who was watching. So I think we're in September, so the clock really is winding down.
Yeah.
And the fact that was his last SmackDown ever is huge. I think it starts to sink in already. Now this is really it for Cena and his career. So I think we should start, treating every last appearance on this list as a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Just a lot of emotions flowing through me as a Cena fan right now, or when I saw this promo, kasi I remember Cena debuting as Ruthless Aggression Cena as the prototype, yes, but my biggest memory of Cena was Cena debuting the Dr. Thugonomics gimmick with his original single as the entrance theme, diba? Yung may padlock pa siyang suot, making his way to the ring, right? I remember when the AA was called the FU just to rip off Brock Lesnar. Diba? I remember all of that, right? And to come to a point now where we're seeing him in the ring for the very last time, parang dun mo may isip na ang dami na din niyang pinagdaanan, diba? All the feuds, he went through on SmackDown against Triple H, against Booker T, against Taker, against all the people who were mainstays on SmackDown, made himself a mainstay on SmackDown. Diba? To me, John Cena is Mr. SmackDown. You cannot convince me otherwise. Every time I see Cena, automatic na pumapasok sa akin as SmackDown siya. Right? And so to see him in a SmackDown ring for the very last time, and to give that same opportunity, or get that same opportunity from Sami Zayn, from ironically a Raw from 10 years ago, is also very nostalgic to me. And I just, it's a beautiful, poignant moment that was ruined by Brock Lesnar. So
I'm glad you mentioned it. What do you guys think of that?
The AJ Lee did such a good job of overshadowing it, not gonna lie. Because no one really talked about it after the show. All the people were still high off of AJ Lee. Because if it was normal SmackDown, I mean, WWE would get the shits again for for bringing back Brock on TV. But yeah, it did its job, I guess, of building up towards Cena versus Lesnar. I assume probably for the Perth show or maybe Survivor Series. But yeah, I think we're on the way now to that match.
What else were you gonna? How else were you gonna finish the match?
Like,
Cena couldn't lose. Sami couldn't lose. So bring out Brock. So it made sense. Brock is still polarizing. Pero how else were you gonna finish that match? Like I don't think there was any other way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for all we know, Brock killing Cena, diba? Like, if he had a list of people he wanted to face, might have been Brock. He's probably the only credible last opponent here on John Cena's greatest hits. I do have questions about it though. Like, does it become a triple threat?
Yeah, diba?
Probably, diba? You think it would, diba? You think it would. You think that's where it'll go. It probably won't, right? It probably won't. But it just raises more questions than answers.
Yeah, I think that was a missed call there. Parang Brock shouldn't have touched Sami because now they are kind of obligated to include Sami in this feud.
Oh, I know. Didn't think about that.
Yeah, ako rin, hindi ko rin naisip yun. I mean, like, pwede namang hasn't Brock done this before na may isang target siya, nagkataon lang na yung kalaban ng target niya nandun. So, nakatikim din yun ng F5. I'm pretty sure it's happened before.
Michael Cole.
So now you can't, we're at a creative era where you can't ignore that stuff. You can't ignore the consequence or the implications of that decision in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So ang hirap eh. So if it was just Cena versus Brock, then he should have just attacked Cena only.
So what then? Let's say yun nga ganun lang, Cena versus Brock. Kasi all of Cena's matches other than Elimination Chamber and the Rumble have been singles matches. So what then?
Brock Lesnar becomes your United States.
God.
Oh my God.
That would be the worst.
No, honestly, though, I think tama kayo pareho. Yes, you cannot ignore the story errors, di ba? Yung divergence, or what's the term they used on Loki? Yung pag naghihiwalay yung timeline.
Shit, what was the term?
But basta that, you guys know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
you can't ignore that thing that happened, right? The timeline splitting. But at the same time, you also cannot have Sami Zayn in this feud because it waters down the feud a lot. So now I feel like they're at an impasse here. They're like they box themselves in here creatively. Unless there is no clamor for Sami Zayn to be a part of this final run of John Cena, which is again impossible, then magkakaproblema sila.
You know what I think might happen here? So Cena and Brock goes one-on-one, right? Tapos Sami Zayn will return the favor and interfere in that match and fuck up Brock Lesnar.
Sana. That would be the dream.
And then Sami Brock, is that what?
No, it's just a receipt because you interfered in my match weeks ago or months ago. Then I'm
no, but yeah, if you do that, Chino's right. Chino's right. If you do that, you do have to move on.
You have to go to Sami Brock, right? Squash the feud. And then Brock Lesnar becomes here in the United States.
Tapos magpe-play-anitin ka na naman, Emil.
Oh, but nanalo si Brock Lesnar. Champion? What the fuck?
Kakapanalo pa lang ni Sammy ng United States Championship eh.
Oh God, yeah. I walked into that one.
Cut to SmackDown this week, and then Sammy just goes on and faces a new opponent. Completely just disregarding what happened last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open challenge naman daw eh. So
yeah, there's a chance that might happen.
Open challenge, so
Fair game.
Bahala ka dyan.
Sticking to SmackDown here, one last point. We're still in the middle of an Aleister Black versus Damian Priest feud, which kind of reminds me of Sheamus versus Rusev, which has also been going on for quite some time. So parang nakita ko lang na medyo symmetrical siya across both brands na you have these two guys na nagbabanggaan week after week after week. For Raw, it's Sheamus Rusev. For SmackDown, it's Aleister and Priest.
Can they put this on a PLE? Can they finally put this on a PLE? I mean,
they did that for Rusev and Sheamus, so
yeah, exactly. So there's a next one coming up, diba? In a couple of weeks. Have this match be, have the feud ender there.
I don't know. I don't think it carries the same gravitas as Sheamus Rusev, probably because there's really not that much personal history between these two. Kasi di ba yun yung binagbasihan din ng Sheamus Rusev right?
Yeah.
Like they established it. So I don't know. Ako siguro mali ako, di ba? But that's the thing.
It just has to go up in intensity. Like Sheamus and Rusev, more intense. So,
backstage.
I think Priest and Black haven't done that just yet. So
also that it doesn't hit as hard, or they don't hit as hard. Ironically, diba? I think they be doing all these kicks and stuff, pero walang hindi kasing angas nung nagsapakan sila all around the backstage area like Rusev and Sheamus did.
Sure.
Yeah. Saka, diba, it's weird that this feud started because Black was punking R-Truth. As Damian Priest just defended him, and they've been feuding ever since.
Truth isn't even part of the story anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, wala na kasi Truth sa story eh. He's the one he's the catalyst of this storyline.
Whereas with Sheamus and Rusev, again, diba, a more personal issue. So it's a lot more room to go there than with this I stood up for my friend and now let's kill each other.
Yeah.
Right, so that's it for SmackDown reactions. Let's stop over here sa home turf natin in the Philippines, where Dexcon has announced that its next event will be in October, and it's called Sari Sari Slam. Grade A name, by the way. I think Dexcon Sari Sari Slam is a personal favorite now. It probably tops all of the other Dexcon event names that they've had previously. And the headliner is none other than Lacey Lane, FKA Kaden Carter, the former WWE and NXT Women's Tag Team Champion.
Handa nyo na yung sinigang. Ate's coming back, and what a huge get. I think, not for nothing, I think a former WWE star, kahit
former WWE champion.
She's a tag team champion.
Former tag team champion.
Yeah.
It's pretty huge. So I think it's already drawn a lot of attention from the people here, from the wrestling fans here, and I think it's going to be an exciting one. And I think Ate Lacey will have a rude awakening of what it's like to wrestle in the heat of her homeland.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Rude awakening is one way to put it. Guys, parang awa nyo na mag-deodorant kayo at saka maligo kayo.
Dali nila tag Jisoo life nyo dyan sa bahay. Tutok mo sa kanya. Wrestling siya. Set to 100. No, Lacey Lane is really top 5 dream guest ko dito sa podcast na to. Diba?
Yeah.
We've talked about it ad nauseam, who we want to talk to here. And really, mga top 5 natin, halos natin WWE or ex-WWE stars, right? With Filipino roots. Lacey Lane being one of them. And to have the opportunity to just watch her work the ring, diba? And hopefully, probably hint, a matchmaker Linus and matchmaker Miguel to have the chance to talk to her on this podcast soon, hopefully in the future. Then what a treat for all of us here on the pod and for all of you guys who get to watch her at Dexcon.
Yeah, so start saving up October 18th and 19. Tickets will be a little bit more expensive than normally, but it's to be expected because we are bringing in someone who used to be part of the WWE roster. Sorry, Emil, I cut you off.
Yeah, I was excited when this was announced. The headliner for DexCon. I mean, it's a former WWE star. When they were in WWE, we were hoping that one day, one of them or or all of them could come here and wrestle. And yeah, we're gonna get it. And natawa ako sa yung parang a meme that di naman a meme, pero something that we posted on our Facebook page na hinahanap si Casey. Yeah. Kasi tag team sila, di ba? So, but yeah, it's gonna be a fun one for sure. And, can't wait for Sai Slam.
Hey, if she wants to come over too, why not?
Oh, di ba?
May pera, ha?
Oh, do you have Casey Catanzaro money?
Paano pag meron? Sabihin natin meron.
Kung may pera ka doon, Chino, mag-order ka muna ng beef Wellington tapos papuntahin mo rito si Casey Catanzaro.
I, like you, Stan, do not pay money for a place that hires me. So, we agree on that one thing pagdating sa grepahan.
No, to be fair to these people who are asking for Casey Catanzaro, I think it says a lot na tumatak yung branding nila as a tag team, diba? Na, they've, I guess, become inseparable in the minds of these fans.
No. You misunderstood because you're not on Facebook. They asked it from us, not from DexCon.
Oh!
Yeah. May nag-PM sa page natin. Yan.
Damn.
Oh, yeah. I think I caught that. Yeah.
Hindi naman tayo nag-book sa kanya. Unless nag-book kay Chino si Casey Catanzaro.
I think I caught that.
Lang kami hamak na media sponsor lang kami, media partner.
Hindi kami promotion. Sorry, hindi yan kay Matchmaker Miguel.
Paki-direct na lang sa kanila.
Doon kayo tumapat.
But congrats to DexCon. Congrats.
Congratulations to DexCon.
What a get.
Yes.
Palaki yung guest nila. Malay natin, balang araw, Batista na yan, diba?
Oh, yeah. We never know, di ba?
Malaki na rin lang yung pinag-uusapan. So, yeah. All right, crossing over to AEW, over the weekend, it was reported that the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, will be joining Dynamite's commentary team full-time. So this will be pretty interesting. Hindi pa nila sinabi how that'll affect the broadcast, if it's going to be a four-man booth or kung may mawawala ba in place of Bryan. I, as a viewer of anything, do not want to hear a four-man booth. They tried it out nung Rampage. Remember, nung inaano sila na Jericho and Mark Henry would be joining Taz and I believe it was Excalibur. Four-man booth, no good. My personal wish is that Tony Schiavone gets replaced by Bryan. But kayo, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of this news? Of this announcement?
Knowing AEW, I think they're gonna do the four-man booth. I think TK is too nice to remove someone unless they want, unless they have to be removed. So I expect the worst, I think. Interesting lang that they really just went this route without following up on story, in-ring story, implications like how Bryan aided in the defeat of the Death Riders of John Moxley, diba? That. No promo, no nothing. Just Bryan is joining the commentary booth. Like, I'm one to talk because I did the same thing. But at least I kind of addressed that on screen. It's just weird that I hope they do the same. I hope that Bryan explains, okay, why did you suddenly? I mean, we know why because he's injured, but I hope that there is at least an in-ring promo segment that ties in or that neatly transitions Bryan's in-ring career to his full-time commentary job.
Yeah, same. I agree that there are loose ends story-wise that they need to tie up here. To say we're all expecting him to come back, especially after he joined the AEW Avengers against the Death Riders here. Diba? So the fact that they just suddenly put him in a commentary team is a little weird. Although I was a fan of Bryan when he was doing it for the WWE. I do remember those times. He did quite well. He was able to articulate himself quite well as far as wrestling and breaking down the psychology is concerned. So the fact that they get somebody as established as Bryan Danielson to actually do that. Unang-una iniisip ko bakit ngayon lang kasi I know he's been injured and I know he's just taking time off from wrestling from wrestling rather, sorry, to be with his family, you know, to be a dad and all that. Pero I think it's a welcome addition to the booth.
Yeah, I will agree with Stan. I think I wish he would replace Shivani in the commentary booth. Pero there's a point, Nero. I feel like the inclusion of Brian will have to do something with the story at some point.
Sure.
Kasi andun na siya eh. He's already a presence there. So, syempre, the Death Riders simply cannot ignore every time they're gonna come out. So I feel like at some point, not now maybe, but in a few weeks, few months,
sana,
Brian will factor in again in the story.
Right, you guys mentioned the Death Riders and yung ongoing story nila is that they're trying to bring in Daniel Garcia and Chris Statlander into the fold. Yung kay Stat, I think we've actually been seeing more of it compared to Daniel Garcia. Diba? Kasi si Yuta has been approaching Stat and saying na, di ba may pinagsamahan tayo? And then I believe nung Dynamite, he alluded to something for Stat that came from their friend. Hindi ko na maalala kung if it was supposed to be Mox or somebody from the Best Friends.
Probably like Beretta, since he was the one who turned heel. The one, yung kay Garcia has been happening on Collision, and it's been relatively recently that Mox has been offering him advice. Mox has also offered advice to Stat. So interesting lang that they are adding new people, like new young guns to the group. I don't know if that's good just yet because beyond Mox's ramblings from before, you don't really get a sense of what the Death Riders are supposed to be, other than the fact that they just like inflicting violence on the rest of the AEW roster. So yeah, if they flesh out a little more the new mission ng Death Riders, I can get with this. Otherwise, it's just another corrupting a good person story.
Yeah. Sorry. I agree. Yung kay Daniel Garcia, not too surprised with, especially since na-associated siya sa groups before, di ba? He's already been in factions before. So this is nothing new to me to have him added to the Death Riders. Chris Statlander, while she has been associated with factions before as well, it's a little bit more interesting to me. Because what if this leads to Chris Statlander becoming Women's World Champion? Diba? What if this is the catalyst that she needs in the story to propel her to a legitimate world title ship, right? To a world title run, rather. So it's a lot. I'm a lot more glued to that than to Daniel Garcia's side of things. But like tama din si Ro when he said the Death Riders are still a little wishy-washy here when it comes to what they're all about, diba? Yung mission vision nila medyo wala. So as long as they still don't answer that, medyo mahihirapan din tayong sumakay dito sa new hirees or new recruits, I guess you could say, for the Death Riders.
I want to know what you guys think of the idea na, if Stat joins the Death Riders, di magta-turn heel na naman siya. And, Stat's characters has been flip-flopping sa alignments. I mean, not as often as Big Show back when he was in WWE, but, this would be another turn for Stat in such a recent amount of time.
Yeah, I was going to point that out, Stan. That with Garcia, it's fine because he's been babyface for a long time and they're slowly cooking this possible heel turn. But with Stat, they gotta stop playing with her alignment, man. She was heel last year. She was face, then heel, tapos face na naman. So ngayon, mag-heel na naman. Like, she's too talented for that. Like, they gotta stick to one alignment. Like, are you considering Stat as one of your biggest baby faces or heels? You gotta stick with one. I don't like this whole flip-flopping thing kasi, nalilito din yung viewers whether to root or boo Chris Statlander.
Yeah, it's a good point. I honestly didn't think about that. I'm just glad that I was actually just happy that Chris Statlander, who I am a fan of and of her work, is getting, a push of sorts here. Dito sa kwento na to. Now that you've brought it up, napaisip din ako, if you had to choose between face or heel, I'd much rather see her as a heel. Diba? Because it adds, mas imposing siya eh. Kasi malaki siyang tao eh. right? Size-wise, physically. She's a little taller than most of the women here and a lot more physically more imposing. So I get what they were trying to do by making her a face, but I also think that as a heel, she's much better off.
Mm-hmm. All right, rounding things out from Collision, si Kyle Fletcher na palang next ally ng Don Callis family as they try to take the AEW World Championship away from Hangman Adam Page at All Out.
Man, they're pushing Kyle Fletcher here in the last few months, di ba? Like, and they're really, putting all their eggs in one basket here. As they're like, I thought it would have been Takashita, kasi that I understand that he's also busy kasi siya yung G1 winner, so he's mostly involved in New Japan at this point. So they got to go with their next guy, which is Fletcher. I don't think Fletcher is gonna win, but I think this is his entry to the main event scene. Itong feud na to and his upcoming possible main event match against Hangman for the World Championship.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, Kyle Fletcher is not going to win. Hangman is still pretty hot as champion, so parang to give that rub suddenly to Kyle Fletcher, who also has a belt, by the way. So has a belt. So parang medyo weird na maging double championship biglaan. However, that said, I do agree that this is also his initiation into the upper echelon of the AEW card. Diba? The fact that he's actually getting that push now, and he's actually being turned into a credible champion and a credible championship, a credible champion and a credible challenger is what I was trying to say. The fact that they're doing that for Kyle Fletcher now after he put in the work, it actually just goes to show how far he's come ever since he stopped looking like Sid from Toy Story.
I actually thought they were gonna go for a Hangman Kenny reunion as the main event ng All Out. So interesting that they deferred to a medyo, Royal Rumble-esque World Championship matchup between Hangman and, as Chino mentioned, a relative newcomer to the main event scene in Kyle Fletcher. For some people, that's gonna bang, but it's not like the biggest matchup you can do. So interesting that how they're gonna do this, unless CNC is gonna be the main event of this Toronto show. So interesting then that they are going with this on what is supposed to be, or maybe that's why they moved the show earlier in the afternoon. Because if no shade to anyone in this match, but if Hangman versus Fletcher is your main event, then unfortunately, I don't want to say it, pero talo ka talaga against WWE and fucking what's the WrestlePalooza main event?
Io versus Steph, Cena versus Brock.
Yeah,
Cena
versus
so far,
Brock,
diba?
most likely, diba? Most likely.
Maybe it's a mixed tag match, maybe possibly.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a lot more, and that is a lot more higher in star power.
So yeah, I just checked. Yung confirmed announced matches pa lang talaga are Io, Steph, and Cena Brock. So
okay,
yeah. All right. Let's go to picks of the week now. Let's breeze through this. And I'm going to start with mine from the most recent episode of SmackDown. That John Cena and Sami Zayn match was so good. So fun to call because of all the lore. Grabe, di ba? From yung full circle moments ng debut ni Cena on SmackDown, debut ni Sami on the main roster. Even Cena going so far as to pay tribute to yung mga dati niya nakalaban, like si Edge, diba? He did the spear and even tried to hinahawi niya yung buhok niya kahit na maiksi lang yung buhok niya. So that was pretty funny. I believe Cena also did the pop-up powerbomb, diba? As a nod to Kevin Owens. They really had a lot of time to cook, and I think Cena and Sami, counting the opening promo pa lang, was like the first 45 minutes of SmackDown last week. So they had so much time, and I really enjoyed every bit of it, to the point na I was actually pretty sad that Brock Lesnar had to come in and give them a non-finish.
Yeah, this was my favorite match of the week in total. The match that I picked will be the second favorite, but this one is my definite favorite, bar none, because of the callbacks that they delivered. Not even withstanding the promo that they did with Cena paying homage to the crowd of Chicago and Sammy coming up calling out their history. See, the references John Cena dropped throughout this match were not only surprising but also very well done. Parang siyang Easter eggs into the career of John Cena. He did that same thing against Logan Paul, diba, during that last match that he had. So now that he did it against Sami Zayn, it's something to kind of look forward to as the weeks progress into Cena Brock, diba? Yung angle slam and the spear and the pop-up power bomb even. So these were just nice little touches into what a career John Cena's already had.
Yeah, nung Friday was like the first time na I felt na damn, Cena's really retiring. Saying at the promo and the match was just like an homage to like his biggest rivals. So parang alam mo paparating talaga eh. We're approaching we're closer to the end than we were at the beginning of the year.
Sige, labas mo pa lahat ng cliche. Sige pa.
Sorry. And then yeah, it was a very fun match. It was very reminiscent of the old John Cena US title matches, which I think they were going for here naman kasi, because of the promo and how Sammy referenced na you gave me your first shot 10 years ago, so I'm giving it back. So it was a very fun match, and I think this is second to yung SummerSlam match as my favorite Cena match of this whole farewell tour.
So we talked about this earlier, but again, Sami Zayn finds himself in a match where it's easy mode and the crowd is in the palm of his hands. Interestingly enough, this match is the highest version of a match you would wrestle with your friends or your cousins or your brothers at home. Like you spam the best moves from your favorite wrestlers, and then the crowd fucking loves it because they made story this time, and you know how to do it well, and you're following the actual logic and the actual psychology of Major League Pro Wrestling. So it is exactly what it is, and it's fun that at the highest level. Sometimes you just get to play around with your friends. So here, speaking about the homages to the other wrestlers, what do you guys have to say about this complaint that Michael Cole was missing the calls left and right?
Was he though?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he called the.
I was watching it. I was watching it before we came on, and he missed quite a bit. So
okay.
Yeah, he didn't catch the angle slam at first. Corey had to correct him. For obvious reasons, he couldn't mention Edge, even though it was pretty obvious who Cena was referencing. He mentioned Reigns instead. He missed the pop-up powerbomb call, and Graves had to catch him up and say it was Kevin Owens. So ang dami nang na-miss, and I'm not one to take away from such a legendary commentator like Cole, but what did you guys think of that? If you heard it.
It bothered me. It bothered me as someone who knows Cena's history and the history of his opponents. I think at some point he called the ankle lock the STF. I swear.
No. It was no una STF tapos he nagano siya kumabig siya and then called it the ankle lock and mentioned Kurt Angle then.
Saka Cole has been calling Cena's matches for like 20 plus years already, going all the way back to SmackDown. So parang for him to miss this details, parang you should it's Michael. Parang at this point you expect higher things from Michael Cole. He's been he's the voice of WWE for even longer than JR. So it bothered me because I know Cole is much better.
Saw those matches the rest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, Chino,
sa akin medyo forgivable siya. Because Michael Cole has also been making blunders his entire career. And yet, he was named one of the 50 graces or one of the 50 voices of TV, diba? Or whatever that award he got was, right? So, he had to be doing something, right? Yeah, he's not a moves guy. He's not Excalibur. He's not going to talk to you about the history of that move from wherever it came from, diba? but he was still able to do his job. He was still able to poignantly explain to the crowd what was going on in the ring. And I think he has his own style, his own flair. Hindi siya for the marky marks of the world.
No, I mean,
right?
it's not like these moves were like obscure niche references that only terminally online wrestling fans would know of. These are the biggest.
Yeah, but yes, I get yes, but then at the same time, matagal na siyang nagkakamali, diba? So hindi ko na expect. I didn't expect anything different from Michael Cole. He has his own way of doing things, and I live with that. It's a thing I accept.
It's kind of sad because parang does Michael Cole only get it right when he gets through the homework beforehand? Like did Cena and Sammy have to talk to him before the match and say, "Oh, gagawin ko tong move ni Punk, ni Edge, ni Kevin Owens, ni."
No, I don't think so. Kasi like I've heard Michael Cole call matches where he actually busts out a name for a move na hindi ko rin agad ma-name. Alam mo yun? So parang I don't think that Cole isn't a moves guy, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So ang sa akin my experience was I couldn't hear him miss the calls if he said he missed the calls because we were also doing our thing.
Sure.
And kami ni Carlo, we were just like knocking it out. every bit, check. To the point na I even said Edge's name just because I got so carried away by everything, diba? So I don't know. Yung nga, nagulat na lang ako when you guys said na yung nga, he missed this and that. But I don't know. I can't tell you why that would have happened.
Yeah, I think that's why it's bothersome to Emil's point. Because you mentioned you were able to knock it out. You and Carlo were able to knock it out. And then he suddenly forgets the name for an angle slam or forgets what the angle slam looks like or suddenly forgets that CM Punk's finisher is called Go to Sleep. So, it is pretty interesting. Not in a bad way because I don't think he's going to make the same mistake twice.
I don't think it's going to happen again.
Yeah, he's still Michael Cole. That's still great.
Sure. Lalo na, nagbabantay kayo, diba? Si Emil Nate pa. Nako. Baka makarinig si Michael Cole kay Emil Nate.
Konti na lang, magka-play and Nate na ulit tayo.
Michael Cole is great.
Baka i-book ni Emil si Michael Cole laban kay Brock Lesnar. All right. Moving on to the next pick. Let's go to Emil.
All right, so my pick is the main event of Dynamite. It was an all-star 8-man tag between Jet Speed, Kenny and Hangman versus the Young Bucks, Josh Alexander and Kyle Fletcher of the Don Callis family. This was a very long match. I was watching this and parang yung 1 hour block, the second hour block, parang nasa 25 minutes pa lang, they already did the entrances. So this match went as long as like 30 minutes.
Yep.
And it was a fun 30-minute match. You'd expect like the PWG energy of this match was through the roof, diba? And they were in the ECW arena, 2300 arena, where you'd expect some fun spots, some violent spots, and they delivered everything here. For me, the best moments were yung moments na sila Hangman, Kenny, and Bucks are in the ring. Those were like those were the moments where people were at their loudest because they acknowledged the history, diba? Kasi even the commentary alluded to it. The classic tag match from Revolution 5 years ago. So, and then all the, diba, all the reunion spots, yung mga spots that Kenny and Hangman used to do back in the day. So, there's definitely a taste of nostalgia. And, I'm actually glad that the Don Callis family was the winner of this match because the heels has been losing a lot lately. And it established the challenge of Fletcher going after Hangman for the title. They also, did the spots at the end, but overall it was it was a very fun match. Ang dami ding mga rivalries, within the match, diba? Josh Alexander and Mike Bailey. We know their history in TNA, diba? The elite versus the elite, diba? So this was I'd recommend this match because of the you could turn your mind off and just watch this and just enjoy it.
Yes, you guys like to say they all cooked in this one. It's pretty solid effort from all 8 men here. I like the callbacks, like Emil said, about how they beckoned back to a time in TNA when Josh Alexander and Mike Bailey were going at it. So that to me was my favorite part because I really enjoyed Josh Alexander's work, especially now in AEW where he gets to do it against more people, dare I say, better people on the roster, more diverse wrestlers in the roster. So I also like the indie, quote unquote, indie feel that this thing gave, diba? The spots and the moments that you get, especially from the Bucks, especially from Kenny, and especially from Hangman as well. So, di ba, may history silang apat eh. So, it was just worth noting there as well. So, again, really good match. Mahaba, yes, but actually enjoyable.
Yeah, I would say na it did its job of advancing certain stories, but hindi siya into it's not the type of match I would say that like would really advance a huge plot point kasi we didn't get like Kyle Fletcher's ascension to be number one contender until Collision, di ba? Parang setup itong match na to. So, ayun, if you're the type na it has to be like a big plot point right away for Dynamite, wala, it's just really not how Dynamite is wired, di ba? Yeah. It is the home of like your super indie style from the previous decade just on national TV. So, ganun talaga. All right, let's go to the next pick, and this one is from Chino.
Yeah, so my pick stays with AEW, but this time on Collision. It is your 8-women tag match. On one side, we have Timeless Toni Storm, Harley Cameron, Mina Shirakawa, and Chris Statlander taking on the Triangle of Madness and Megan Bayne, the Megasus, and in the super stacked 8-woman tag match. I like this because it just goes to show how deep the women's roster on AEW is now, especially since you had Triangle of Madness stepping up and actually becoming a threat, credible threat in the women's division here. And this is even including your TBS championship, diba? And even the ROH side of things. Ang dami pwedeng mangyari that it's almost a disservice the 1 or 2 matches they get on Dynamite, diba? A week. So parang it just goes to show that there's a lot more room for growth here in the AEW women's division. And yes, this match did a pretty okay job telling the stories of Stat and how she may or may not join the Death Riders. We've talked about that earlier on this episode. But it also goes to show how Toni Storm just wants everybody to step up. Diba? Parang everybody, lahat kayo gusto nyo magsapakan, sige, sapakan tayo. So they called everybody out, and that's what I like because it gives people like Tekla and like Chris Statlander another shot at the women's championship here. And when we get to All Out, once that happens, parang it's a perfect place to have young stars shine on such a big stage.
Yeah, contrary to my pick, this match actually advanced the plot here for the women's championship. Diba? Like after the match, we saw the return of Jamie Hayter. You know, she's been out for a while, and Toni Storm challenged Chris Statlander, Jamie Hayter, and Tekla to a 4-way at All Out. So it was a great match, but also at the match, talagang ang pinapanood ko na si Megan Bayne. She has an imposing presence. And
sure, Emil.
TK should just stop fucking around and push Megan Bayne, bro. Like,
Emil, pinalaki ka ba ni Megan Bayne?
Like, bro, like I can't take my eyes off Megan Bayne.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
She's just so incredible. She has that imposing presence, and you know, I push her to the top, TK.
Wait lang, Emil. I want to go back to something you said. Sorry, Raj. I just caught something Emil said.
Yeah, sure.
You were pretty upset nung live stream that Riho came back and then immediately became TBS Championship #1 contender. Why aren't you upset about Jamie Hayter coming back and then being in the position to challenge Toni Storm?
Kasi diba Toni was the one who challenged them.
Oh, yun champion.
Yeah, Toni was the one who decided that she wanted to wrestle everyone.
That's fair.
Including Jamie Hayter. I thought the Riho thing was a executive decision from TK.
Like we didn't hear Mercedes say it herself. I want a title match with you. Parang wala eh. It was TK who made that decision, which was why I brought it up no live stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Speaking of Megan Bayne, I think the reason why she's not getting that push right now is the reason why the women are getting this kind of matchup, albeit fun. over the past few weeks, I've been understanding that why multi-man matches are pretty fun and are also useful because they are literally just micro dosing, the experience level or the experience gains of all these wrestlers who need that ring time, diba? So the reason why you're seeing Megan Bayne in this matchup instead and allying with Penelope Ford instead was because maybe she's just not ready for that kind of burden just yet. So she needs time to develop, and getting in that sulit ring time with in a multi-person match is the way you do it, and I think that's how they're gonna do it for now, diba? So as she develops further, so matches like this are fun. I on both ends of the spectrum, WWE and AEW, when booked right. So I understand why this was the pick and why why Emil also picked the men's 8-man nung Dynamite.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ro, let's finish with your pick.
Yeah, mine is not obscure but free to watch if you can set your VPNs to Japan. So it's from last week's Takaya Mania Empire 4 from Minoru Suzuki. So this was his show, done semi-regularly to help with the bills of Yoshihiro Takayama, who has been paralyzed from the shoulders down since 2017. So if you watch this, he was there. You can see him. He's also doing commentary despite being paralyzed. So para siyang not to put it, so glibly, but he is a bit of a Make-A-Wish kid here. So the matchup is the main event. It was Minoru and Marufuji versus the reuniting Kenta and Shibata. So you might think that this was just, a benefit show, but they actually added some story into it. So as you may know, Kenta turned on Shibata a few years back when he signed with NJPW. And this was like their first time teaming together despite since the rift. So they start the match. Kenta and Shibata beat each other up despite being teammates. And they eventually get over it. Parang Marufuji and Suzuki just watch them beat each other up for a few minutes, and then they get back to wrestling the match. Then, it's just shenanigans from there. Kobashi gets involved by chopping everyone in the match, despite, not being dressed to wrestle and being retired, obviously. And then they go to a time limit draw from how I understood it. And then after the match, Kenta and Shibata go back to beating each other up until they finally make up and share a handshake. So a lot of fun. I chose this one specifically because there is a huge storyline implication here. Now, friends, the ODC, Kenta and Shibata. As Kenta says, he got his ex-girlfriend back. So you can watch it on abima.com. If you have a VPN, set it to Japan. You don't have to make an account. It makes an account for you, and it's right there. It's split into 3 parts. I'm curious about yung storyline implications kasi 'di ba nangyari yung rift ni Kenta and Shibata sa New Japan, but Takaya Mania is not a New Japan show. It's not a New Japan sanctioned event. Yeah, so parang like how that both men are not in New Japan anymore. So there's that's a great point. O nga pala no. Yes. Right. So Noah nga pala si Kenta and Shibata's with AEW. But I guess it was a nice way to achieve some form of closure kahit papano between these two legends. Yep. All right. That's it for us. Your weekend reacts and your picks of the week. Kung merong kulang or may kung gusto kayong idagdag, you know where to find us, right? It is at Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, at Wrestling2XPod everywhere else. We're also reminding you, by the way, that we have opened another pasabay run. So we dropped the link over the weekend. Meron na mga nag-order, guys. May mga nag-order na ng AJ Lee merch. And we know you want your AJ Lee merch or your John Cena Farewell Tour merch. This is the time. The time is now. So go to tinyurl.com/September pasabay for the order form. I think it should also be noted, though, that, I think the AJ merch is not going to be produced right away. So it will be a wait. Yes. So if you wait any longer than this, you're going to get it much later. So order nyo na ngayon with us. Yun. Especially since Black Friday is coming up. So that's when the bulk of the orders really start to pile up. So you might want to get it now before the chaos of the Christmas rush. Right. So again, tinyurl.com/September pasabay. Get your AJ Lee or your John Cena Farewell Tour merch. Or if you want to get some merch from other pro wrestling companies and stores, pwede rin. Just let us know in the order form. All right?
Follow us on social media. It's at _StanC, at RoisWar, at Chino Supersize, and at EML_Meister. And thank you to Babyface producer Jasper for always putting us over and making us sound good. We got to get out of here, so we'll catch you on Thursday for our live stream, 7 p.m. on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. In the meantime, this has been Stan C, and on behalf of Romoran, Emil, Nate, and Chino Liao, stay safe, stay dry, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast.